Hello and welcome to another live broadcast with MedStar Health. My name is Michelle Carter, and today I'm joined by three experts who will discuss the benefits and challenges of breastfeeding in celebration of National Breastfeeding Awareness Month this August. Breastfeeding can be rewarding and challenging. Today we'll help you find the support you need to help you and your baby. So let's meet our experts. We're here with Susanna Duraco. Susanna is the Community Health Coordinator for the Healthy Babies Collaborative, which connects pregnant and parenting people to resources, community resource partners to one another, and works to eliminate systemic barriers to maternal child health care. She has more than 30 years of experience working with families with diverse backgrounds and is the mother of two children, both of whom were breastfed. Thanks for joining us, Susanna.
Of course.
Thanks. We also have Beth Kegley. She is the Birth and Family Education Coordinator and Certified Lactation Support Consultant for MedStar Franklin Square Medical Center and MedStar Harbor Hospital. She has more than 30 years of experience in childbirth education. Beth is the mother of 5 children, all of whom were breastfed. Thanks for joining us, Beth.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Great. And last but not least, we have Bethany McGowan. Bethany has more than 7 years of experience in birth and family nursing. She is the lactation support nurse in the neonatal intensive care unit at MedStar Franklin Square. She helps to bridge the gap between NICU babies and new parents, helping them to connect with their fragile newborns. She is the mother of 2 children, both of which have and are being breastfed. Thanks again to all of you for joining us and sharing your expertise with us. All right, so can you believe between all 3 of these individuals that we have with us today, we have more than 60 years of breastfeeding experience. That is incredible, incredible. And as a former breastfeeding mom and hoping to be a breastfeeding mom with my next pregnancy, I'm looking forward to this discussion and hoping to glean some great information from you all. So I really appreciate you being with us today. If you or someone you love would benefit from hearing relevant tips and advice about breastfeeding, stick around, share this broadcast with your friends and family, and please ask us any questions that you may have related to the subject. We're going to take some time to answer those as well. So put those in the comments. All right, so I have a few questions prepared. So let's start with Beth. Why should new mothers breastfeed?
So there's many reasons. I'll try and break it down to mom and baby.
Right.
So as far as the baby goes, babies who are breastfed have a lower risk of asthma, diabetes, childhood obesity, and leukemia. They also have fewer respiratory illnesses and fewer ear infections. And there's just a number of other things, including bonding and that type of thing. As far as the moms go, moms who breastfeed burn between 500 and 700 calories each day just from breastfeeding. So and it definitely leads to losing weight faster. So not that your appetite might be a little bigger while you're breastfeeding, but breastfeeding can also lower a mom's risk of heart disease, diabetes, ovarian cancer, and other types of cancer as well. So, and moms who breastfeed release a hormone, and that hormone helps the mom feel relaxed. And also, what else is neat is that her breast milk helps the baby to fall asleep. So that's pretty good. And my very favorite thing that I love about breastfeeding is it's called the miracle of breast milk. And I don't know that anyone has been able to explain this, but your breast milk, they have found, breast milk constantly changes to meet the needs of the baby. So if the baby is sick and needs more protein, suddenly mom's milk will have more protein in it. And they've done many studies that show that with sick babies. So that's pretty amazing, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's so fascinating. And that's good to know that our bodies are amazing. You know, if you can produce the milk for your baby, that's incredible. Also, Beth, why would new mothers hesitate to breastfeed?
There's a lot of reasons. Some that I'll just touch on. One is a mom might say, I don't eat right. I eat, and what we do know is that mom's body is going to protect the baby. So if you're not taking in enough calcium in your diet, maybe it'll take it out of mom's bones or something. So the baby is always protected. The person who suffers is the mom. So we want mom to eat right so she feels strong and healthy to take care of her baby. So and another thing might be you hear, oh, I don't want my breast to sag. And I know that's a funny one, but it does matter to people. But the reality is that most of the changes in your breast occur during pregnancy. So not breastfeeding. So that's another myth that, we like to provide more information on. And then sometimes moms think that breastfeeding may be inconvenient, but one of the really cool things is breast milk is always ready. It's always the right temperature. You don't have to warm anything up. You don't have to wash or prepare anything. Plus, it's free. So that's a neat thing. And I'll share a story with my son. My fourth child, had a hurricane and lost power for 3 days. And I was able to breastfeed him through that without any worries of not having refrigeration and not having running water. And so that was kind of neat. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Beth.
Uh-huh.
Um, how does the body know how much milk to make? I imagine, at least from personal experience, that was one of my concerns. Like, I don't know if my baby's going to get enough milk. How do we know? How does the body know how much milk to make?
So that's really a great question. And what we have found is that the more the baby breastfeeds, the more milk you're going to make. So that triggers your body. If the baby's eating often, or if you're pumping often, then your body will make more milk. So that is, it's really like a balancing act, and it's quite simple, actually.
Good to know. That's good to know. And also connected to this, how do you know if your baby is getting enough breast milk?
Okay. And like you had just commented, you were worried, right? How
Right.
much, if your baby was getting enough. And that is a huge concern because we don't have little ounce markers on our breast to tell us how much the baby's getting. So the first thing you need to know is you need to feed your baby at least 8 times a day. Okay. And that doesn't, we'll go into that pattern. Sometimes it's very random, but know that you need to feed the baby once your milk comes in at least 8 times a day. And that's pretty much across the board until they start eating other foods. And then the other thing is you have to remember whatever goes in is going to come out. Okay, so you have to keep an eye on the number of feedings you're doing in a day, and in the 24-hour period, and then also pees and poops. Okay, and your healthcare provider should be able to let you know the number of times your baby should pee and poop each day. So that way you'll know you're on track or not. And that really is helpful because if the baby's not getting anything else but breast milk and the baby's peeing and pooping enough, that's a great sign that you are doing really well. And they should provide that information to you in the hospital as well. So, and then if you have any concerns that your baby is not getting enough, I always recommend you talk to your pediatrician.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And then what can you do when you're pregnant? What can the family do to prepare for breastfeeding?
Okay, that's another great question. So I would say you want to talk to your OB provider and let them know for sure, they know you want to breastfeed and maybe ask them to do a breast exam just to make sure they don't see anything in your anatomy that may make breastfeeding a little more difficult. And some of those things we can work on ahead of time. And you also would It would be really helpful to attend a breastfeeding support group. One, it's very helpful to see other women breastfeed. It's just something I know that had a big impact on me wanting to breastfeed and thinking, wow, this looks really nice. Like, and wow, I can hardly tell she's breastfeeding, because, so going to a support group, and a lot of the breastfeeding support groups do allow pregnant women to come. And then if you have certain questions, moms love to share their experience with you. And then to me, most importantly, and maybe I'm a little biased because I do birth and family education, would be to take an in-person breastfeeding class. I know at MedStar Franklin Square, we still have in-person classes. We do a lot of hands-on with the baby dolls and all. So just to practice different positions and things. So yeah, that's how you can get ready.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing, Beth.
You're welcome.
Thank you. At this time, I want to pause and welcome our viewers again. If you're just tuning in, we appreciate you for joining us today. We're discussing the benefits and challenges of breastfeeding with three of our experts from MedStar Health in honor of National Breastfeeding Awareness Month. If you have any questions, please share those in the comments below, and we'll take some time to answer those. All right, so in the meantime, I have a few questions for Bethany, so I'll turn to you now. Bethany, how do you help new mothers in the hospital prepare to breastfeed?
So, how we help mothers prepare to breastfeed in the hospital is we will teach them hand expression, which is a great tool early postpartum because it can really help you in those early days while you and the mom and the baby are still learning how to latch. I'll also teach them some early hunger cues so that way they're not waiting to the last possible minute when the baby's super frustrated to latch, because sometimes that will make latching a bit harder. And I'll also show some different positions to help with getting a deeper latch and then showing them what a good latch versus like a poor latch would look like.
All right, thank you. Are there any challenges after you educate a new mother how to feed their baby?
Yes. Yes, there are typically. So I feel like the number one challenge that I see in the hospital is my baby's sleepy. They don't want to wake up. So typically after they have a great latch for the first time, as soon as they're delivered, and then we kind of get into that sleepy time where they're just really sleepy from the whole like labor and delivery process. So I'll go over some tips to kind of like help wake up the baby. We also will typically have trouble with latching because, like I said, we typically have the first latch is great, and then after that, while we're in the hospital, we're still learning. Also, during like they'll do something called cluster feeding, and that typically happens around 48 hours of life, which is when your baby will nurse more frequently for shorter periods of time over like a 3 to 4 hour time period. This is normal newborn behavior. It's just trying to get them to ramp up that milk production, and this may also occur during growth spurts.
Good to know. Very good. And what do you do if a mother's breast gets sore? What do you do to help them to rest?
So I know typically the nipples will get a little sore from all this frequent nursing and while we're learning to latch. So I would want to check the latch to make sure that it's deep enough and not too shallow. I'd also offer and teach mom how to use a breast pump, so then she'll be able to pump in a bottle and feed her baby through the bottle. Or even, like I said in the first question about hand expression, they could even hand express on a spoon or a syringe, and either mom or a support person can help feed the baby that way as well, just to provide that nipple rest.
Very good to know. Thank you very much, Bethany, for sharing that. Right now, I want to turn to Susanna. Could you tell us more about the Healthy Babies Collaborative?
Sure. The Healthy Babies Collaborative connects moms to all sorts of critical resources, and then we connect our service partners, community partners, to one another and work to eliminate any type of barrier that people may face accessing support services. One of the resources we connect people to is breastfeeding support.
That's awesome. And what breastfeeding support is available after a new mom goes home?
I'm very glad you asked. As you can imagine, it's a lot different once you get home. Just listening
Oh
to
yeah.
Bethany, the changes that happen once you're home from the hospital. So MedStar Health continues to offer support for moms through breastfeeding warm lines, where you can speak to a certified lactation consultant to address any breastfeeding questions or concerns. We have dedicated warm lines for MedStar Harbor Hospital, as well as MedStar Franklin Square Medical Center. And you can leave a voicemail. They'll go check the voicemail throughout the day. And usually, because it's a warm line, it's returned, your calls return within 24 hours. We also have community support groups that for pregnant and parenting people. And since we are a baby-friendly hospital, we also provide a list of area lactation consultants who moms can connect with outside of the hospital. So lots of room for support.
That's fantastic. I was one of the ones who called that warm line, and someone did pick up and offered some great information and helped me. It's helpful to get that support because you have the confidence that you need to feed your baby and continue that breastfeeding journey. So that's very important. Thank you very much for sharing that. Could you also share, what do you offer new mothers at the moms, babies, and breastfeeding support groups?
Great question. So our community support groups, in my opinion, are a very special place. So they are a nurturing, non-judgmental place for expectant moms. We encourage moms who are pregnant to attend, as Beth mentioned, and for moms to connect with other moms, to get hands-on direct support from a breastfeeding professional, and to take a break, frankly, and have some lunch. Moms can have their questions answered in more detail than the warm line, which is a great start. And then they can bounce ideas off of the other moms. I think one of the most common things we already talked about are, once you get home, you're wondering, how, is my baby getting enough to eat? And at these groups, we have a professional infant scale. So you can weigh baby before you feed baby and then weigh the baby afterwards. And even if you're just curious in between doctor's appointments about a general weight, you can weigh your baby there. We provide lunch and provide workshops about every other month based on what moms want to hear and learn about. And mainly, it's just really nice to know that you're not alone and that there are other people there going through the same things perhaps that you're going through. And even though we have professionals on hand, we really encourage the moms to share with one another. They're a tremendous resource for each other. And, sometimes it's not even about breastfeeding. It's about sleep or weaning or, an issue engaging a partner. So there are a lot of things for moms to connect about. And the groups have also led families to meet outside of the group and do activities together, which is just really wonderful. We want to nurture those connections and relationships, and then, of course, offer the professional support as well.
That's wonderful to hear, that you're building bonds, building that community that you need, especially as a new parent, because it can be a lot. It can be a lot to take mentally, physically, emotionally. So that is very crucial, as you're on this new journey. At this time, I have a few questions for the entire group. So feel free to chime in, where you see fit. So what do new moms wish they knew? I have a few answers, but what do you say from your experience?
I can share that I have actually asked some parents that exact question. What is something you wish someone told you? And two of the women said, independently, in different groups, they said, I wish someone had told me breastfeeding was hard. And I don't tell you that to scare you, but these women thought to themselves, I'm having all this trouble. Why is everybody else able to do it and I'm the only one having trouble? And the reality is, really, for the first couple weeks, you're going to hit little bumps in the road. And that's just how it is. It's a learning process. So one of the important things I think to do is to, one, not take that moment and think that the whole breastfeeding experience that is not going to happen. And two, think to yourself, set short goals. So say to yourself, maybe, or your partner, whoever's with you, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get through the next 2 days. And then I'll regroup, just so it's not so overwhelming, the whole experience. Maybe for you, it's, I'm going to get through the next 4 hours, I don't know, but, that's just setting yourself short goals, I think is really, really helpful too.
Bethany?
Yeah, I agree with Beth. I think that's something that I wish someone told me, that breastfeeding is hard. And also that not only does the mom need to learn how to breastfeed, but the baby also needs to learn how to breastfeed as well. So like the first 2 weeks, I would say, after birth is really critical with your milk supply, and then also with just like the baby learning how to eat, and just to kind of give yourself grace as well. And that babies will breastfeed often. They like to have those short snacks, or they like to have those dinners. And just feed on demand. Even if you finished 20 minutes ago and they're acting hungry again, just feed the baby. You don't have to wait for like that 3-hour mark.
Good to know. And Susanna?
Yeah, well, I wish I would have had Beth and Bethany with me, because yes, it was really hard those first few weeks. And, I would say ask for help, not just even with the breastfeeding, but for sure, come to a group, reach out to the warm line, talk to somebody, another mom that you trust, that, about some of what you're experiencing. I wish I would have asked for more help in general, especially after my first child. So asking for help is not something to be ashamed of. It's something you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very helpful. I should have done that. I did not. My breastfeeding journey was pretty short, shorter than I would have liked it to be. So it's good to take stock of the support that is out there, take stock of the help that's waiting for you if you just ask, and have those people around you that can initiate that help too. And I think it'll make the journey a little bit more enjoyable the second time around, personally speaking, just to know that the help is out there. So thank you all for that. So you all have been breastfeeding moms. What other tips do you have to share? I'll start with Bethany.
That your breastfeeding journey may look different than other moms who are breastfeeding, and that's okay, whether it's you are exclusively breastfeeding, so putting the baby to the breast, exclusively pumping and feeding your breast milk through the bottle, or you're doing both breastfeeding and pumping, or you have to use a little bit of formula because you have to, or it's a choice. You're still breastfeeding, and anything that the baby's getting with breast milk is so beneficial to them.
Thank you. Beth?
So I'm just going to touch on having other children while you breastfeed. And, that can be really difficult if you're, if you have kids, little ones that are like 2 years apart, and they're running all over. A lot of parents think to themselves, oh, they try and protect the baby, and they tell the older child, oh, go over there and play with your toys. And what we have found is a lot more helpful for the older children is to include them in the process. So maybe make it a special time for you and the older child, have them sit next to you, bring a book, say, oh, wow, it's time, even if you watch a special show together, while you're breastfeeding, something that includes the older child, instead of, kind of pushing them away or, trying to get them distracted with things outside. So that I've found has really been a helpful tip to share with moms who are having their second, third, fourth, fifth child now. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You're
And
welcome.
Susanna.
So I'm going to echo a little bit about what Bethany said. There's a saying called comparison is the thief of joy. And just try not to compare yourself as a breastfeeding mom or motherhood in general to anybody else. We are so tough on ourselves about having everything organized and perfect, and having a baby is very messy and imperfect. So the internet can be helpful, social media can be helpful, it can also be really deceiving. You do not need to be perfect to do an excellent job taking care of your baby. So just try not to compare yourself.
I think that's great advice. Very great advice. It's easy to compare yourself to other people, especially as moms. I didn't realize that until I became a mom, and oh yeah, that gets real. So thank you all for sharing that information. As we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to add? Any resources, any tips, any learnings from your experience? I'll start with Beth.
Yeah, so I think that we should give our bodies a little more credit that they know what they're doing. When your baby comes out and you see the beautiful little eyelashes and the curves of their lips and their little finger, it's so amazing. And it's amazing. It's hard to believe. I remember thinking back, wow, 24 hours ago, the baby, that beautiful baby was inside of me. And it's so hard to imagine that your body was able to do that. So just trust that your body can do amazing things, including breastfeed and provide the milk that the baby needs to grow and thrive. And I think that's really important. I also would like to, again, encourage getting support. And I have my own stories, which I won't share, with not getting support. And the guilt that I feel now from my 30-year-old, what those were, things that were just, I look back, I'm like, why didn't I take a class? And even if it's your second baby, take a class. It doesn't matter. We have people there having their third baby taking a class. So, and then most of all, just show yourself grace and just do your very best. And like I said earlier, just set yourself short goals. So those are my parting recommendations.
Thank you. Bethany?
I'm just gonna kind of piggyback off of what Beth said. Don't be afraid to ask for help. We are here to help you to succeed in your breastfeeding journey. I know us moms are like, no, I can do it. But we are here to help you because we want you to be successful and that you got this.
Thank you. And finally, Susanna.
These two are wise women, so it's hard to come up with something else, but I would again echo, MedStar has a lot of resources, and take a class, come to a support group while you're pregnant and see what we're all about. Come to a support group after you've delivered so we can help you there as well. And, we're here to support you. Your baby doesn't need fancy things and things that you see on the market. Your baby needs you to be healthy and happy, and you deserve to put you and your good health first. So ask for help and check out all the resources that we can provide for you.
Thank you very much for that. I'm getting teary-eyed, to be honest. Because of, a lot of the advice that you're giving, I wish that I had received that the first time around. So I really appreciate that. So I think that wraps up our broadcast. Thanks so much to all of you. Thanks to Beth, Bethany, and Susanna for spending time with us today, sharing important information with all of our viewers today and our larger community at our hospitals throughout Baltimore. And thanks to all of our viewers for joining us and spending time with us today. If you'd like to sign up for a breastfeeding class, visit medstarhealth.org/birth and family classes. For any questions, you can reach out to Beth at 443-777-2447 or shoot her an email at beth.kegley@medstar.net. We're going to put that information in the comments as well for you today. Thanks again for your time and have a great rest of your day.